Hi, good night, good night, good night, good night, good night. Welcome to Boss Lady Live once again. And tonight we're here to talk about health and wellness. Samuel, I'm getting a feedback from your mic. Can you just mute it a minute, please? Your mic.
Sure.
Good night. So I would like to ask you to like and share tonight, like and share, because we are going to be talking about health and wellness in this period of lockdown. We wanna talk about going out in the outdoors, being your best self, exercising, getting your mind in tune, getting yourself in tune. And we're here to speak to what I would consider him to be a guru. He stepped away from, I would say, kind of stepped away from corporate and went into, went through a period of self-realization. So let me turn this phone off. Self-realization. So I want us to welcome tonight Samuel Gordon. He calls himself Kindred, and I would like to invite my friends to come on. We have 6 people on already. Good night. I don't see any person saying hello tonight. I like when my friends tell me hello. For those of you who are following my page, you see that I've been swimming, I've been Zen jogging, I've been doing many things in the last couple of months, trying to get my fitness level up and also setting my mindset to a healthier lifestyle. For Lent, I have removed red meat from my diet. I reduced starches. And so, hi Cedric, good night. Don't fall asleep on me tonight. I've reduced salt, sugar, COVID. We want to discuss mind, body, and soul connection. And in talking to Samuel, I think that he has gained quite a bit of knowledge and has a handle on the connection of mind, body, soul. And for that reason, I engaged Samuel in my new journey to wellness. Joining for the first time, and you don't know, I'm a 21 year breast cancer survivor. I like to say thriver. And I've always exercised. I've always tried to eat right, but you know, eating is a challenge. Eating well or eating clean is normally a challenge. Exercising consistently is also a challenge for many. And so tonight we want to speak about health, wellness, and in particular, mental wellness. Like and share, subscribe to my page, www.youtube.com/The Totally Male, or you can join me on every Monday night on Facebook Live, either on Samuel's Sandra or on Totally Male Spa. So it's now 8:04. We have 6 persons joining or showing themselves, because I know we have a lot of peepers. So Samuel, welcome to Boss Lady Live. It's my pleasure to have you tonight.
Thank you so much, Sandra. It's a pleasure to be here. It's always a pleasure to be in the moment, you know?
Yes. So where I want to start, Samuel, is take us back um, as to why you decided to go down this mind body soul connection journey and to kind of take a different approach to your lifestyle.
Well, you know, Sandra, the interesting thing is that a lot of persons have known me in corporate Jamaica as being a media practitioner, a broadcast journalist, a live television presenter, producer, etc. Um, I have also been known to be a poet. I've been a poet. That's my primary skill set. As a child, my mother having been a lecturer and a teacher herself, and someone who wrote curriculum for English grammar education, etc. I I started out with my major skill set being writing, but as a writer, you see, writers are natural observers, and so as a result of that, from a very early age, I have been developing my worldview. And as I grow older, that worldview shifts. And my experience in the media was, um, I'd say, pretty much like a crash course in reality, you know, because in the media, you know, being in the middle of everything in that hub, you make contact with a little bit of everything. Uh, now, I wouldn't say necessarily that the media is what is responsible for me going out on my spiritual journey, because the truth of the matter is that every single human being is on a spiritual journey. You see, the thing is that we live deeper
Whether
than
they
we
know it
think,
or not,
whether we know it or not. So we live deeper than we think, right? So the ramifications of our actions are just as profound, whether or not we're aware of them, whether or not they're positive, whether or not they're negative. And you know, that's a big part of what I'd like to discuss as well tonight regarding the climate that we're in, the tension that exists in the world, the fear that hangs over the world at this time. Um, but did you have any other further questioning, or you don't mind if I go ahead?
no, go ahead. No, well, as I said, just give us overview as to how you came to this point or journey
Okay,
leading to this point, and then I'll take it from there.
okay. Well, one of my greatest passions in life, if not the greatest passion I have in life, is to learn and grow. And after having left the media, I had a retail-based operation, uh, and I used to supply a number of mature women around the island with products and so on. And it supported me very well, and it was a very, very good business. But at the same time, I found that I lacked motivation. I found I experienced depression. I found that experienced anxiety. And so, what I came to realize over a period of time is that I was struggling with my authenticity. I am creative in many ways. I am gifted in many ways. And it was almost the anxiousness of me not being my true self that was forcing me into depression. And so I
Mhm.
must say that I have never been happier in my life, having gone intentionally into this self love journey. My hair, for example, persons look at me and might think that I am a Rastafarian. I love my Rastafari brothers. Um, However, the truth of the matter is that if it is that I was to hold to any particular religion or structured organization or belief, the pace at which I love to learn and grow might change that, because today might be a fair and tomorrow I might have known because of some deeper truth that I found. And so I remain humble at all times to learn from everyone, from every group, from every organization, and especially from my elders. Um, and this journey has led me. I've also done some powerful work in the prisons. I must honor and respect the students' experience. Now program called Shift Fitness brought profound
I
fitness
didn't hear what
program
you just said.
for mature
You have also done
person.
some work in. Sorry.
Pardon?
No, you just broke up.
Yes, go
So
ahead.
can you just repeat what you just said? Yes. Just repeat
Okay, no
what you
problem.
just said. I didn't hear when you said you have some work in.
No problem. Are you hearing me now?
I'm hearing you
Are you
now.
hearing me now? Okay. So I was saying that some of the most
Yes, you
profound
keep
work I've ever done in my life.
talking, but go ahead.
Say again? You're, we're breaking up?
Some of, I got
Are we,
to some of the most profound work ever in your life was.
right.
Don't move, man. Don't
Okay, you're
move.
hearing?
It will soon settle down. Let's hope that it will settle down shortly. I'm hearing you.
Okay. Okay. So I was saying
On
that one
again.
of the most profound moments. Bring again? Are we okay?
Just talk. Just talk. Go ahead.
Okay. So one of those most profound in my is when this is Kevin business skills. The type of work that we are really taught. He has
Hearing nothing.
us really inspired.
Breaking up badly.
Are you clear?
Breaking up really badly.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, the side here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes? Yes. Okay. All right. So
Yes, I
I'm
can.
gonna go ahead then.
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. So
Yes.
I did quite a bit of life skills work in the prison, and while in the prison, working with students texting truth and Kevin Wallen, we were also asked to go out into schools and to business places, share skills work that we shared with the prisoners. You see, we had remarkable results in the prison. In general penitentiary, after 1 year of work, the crime rate in the prison dropped by 50%. After the work that had been done by students expressing truth, the program had a 0% recidivism rate. It was a powerful program, but I must say, in all honesty, the reason that program exists no more is because it was almost, dare I say, too effective. You know, when you shine light into a dark place, sometimes things come to light that everybody doesn't want to see. And so I learned quite a lot though, working in that space, and that propelled me in terms of my understanding of the human
So
psyche and
what
how
you're
it
saying is,
is.
So what you're
Pardon me.
so what you're saying is that the program that
so
you
what
and Kevin Wallen did
program that you and Kevin
belong
was
in the prisons?
belong in the prison?
If it belonged in the prisons,
No, is it no longer in the prisons?
I'm not sure.
No prison?
No, it's no longer in the prisons, but Kevin still offers that particular life skills package.
Wow.
It's called the process.
Wow.
It's not the NGO that used to operate in the prisons no longer operates. So that aside, that time in my life gave me great inspiration, and I left that time, went back into media, went into business, and then, you know, as I say, all along, I was a clean, clean cut person, but I've always been so wildly creative inside. I'm a poet, I'm an artist, I'm a songwriter, I'm a singer, I do quite a number of creative things. And so, in my relation with my clients at the time, I really wanted to be able to provide them with more than the tangible, more than adornment. And so I've been vulnerable and I've been open. And I must say this: vulnerability is the strongest place. When you're vulnerable, when you're humble, when you're open, when you're seeking, it is absolutely amazing what just appears in your path. I cannot give to you, Sandra, a blueprint of my self discovery, but I must say that at every level of my search, I have constantly been blown away. So it is with humility that I come here tonight and that I share knowledge from my path, because it is not from a place of authority over anyone. It is from a place where I have come to realize that there is nothing that we can achieve, there is nothing that we can accomplish in this life that is more amazing. And I've said this to you so many times, Sandra. There's nothing that we can do that is more amazing than and more miraculous than just our mere existence. And that cornerstone fact, when you just consider yourself, just take a moment to go through from your hair to your scalp to your hair follicles. Just go through it, go through the head, hit the eye, and think the cornea, the retina, the iris, the pupil, that adjust the dilation based on how much light is hitting the eyeball. I mean, there are just so many automatic things that are happening in our bodies constantly while we're listening to this podcast right now. That are just beyond our knowledge. Some of it doctors know, a lot of it they don't know. And even so, we have no control over it. And it is just so amazing. I mean, I know it seems that it's a simple thing, and it's not something to be
It's
so amazed about. But the
it's
truth
not
is,
simple.
somebody.
It's not simple.
I want to interject here
I
to
want to
say that
interject here to say that
my reason for
my reason for
um, reaching out to you was that I
reaching
couldn't
out to you
sleep.
was that I couldn't sleep.
That was our initial
That was our
contact.
initial contact.
Right.
And the
And
gyms have
the
pretty much been
gyms
on the
have
stress where
pretty much been on
the
stress
whole
here,
social
the
distancing and everything.
social
I was looking
distancing
for an
and
outdoor
everything.
activity.
That was
Plus
fun.
the fact that I've got to a
But the
stage
fact
in my life,
that I got a stage in my life
why am I getting a feedback?
where I'm getting a
Um,
feedback.
I'll
Um,
you're getting a repeat from me too?
you're getting
Um,
a
just mute your mic at the
No,
time.
I'm not.
Yes.
yes.
So what I'm saying
So
is
what I'm saying is
my reason for
my reason for
swimming and jogging
swimming
because it
and
allows me to
jogging.
be in the outdoors. It allows me to be in the outdoors. It allows me social distancing. It allows me also to be in a mind space. Are you still hearing the echo, Paul? Because I'm not hearing it now that he has muted the mic. Let me know if you are still hearing the echo. Yes, so I I have been listening to a lot of the talk around town on social media, on television, radio about people becoming more and more depressed because they have to be inside, they're unhappy, and okay, great. Thank you, Paul. And they are depressed, relationships are breaking up,
Start breaking
and persons are pretty much locked down themselves. They have locked down mind, many have locked down bodies, many have locked down spirit. Now, I took this opportunity to go full speed ahead. You know me, I get lime, I make lemonade. That's my way, that's my style. And so whatever I'm doing especially in this lockdown period, I have to find a way because my personality is either black or white. There's no gray. So for me, locking down is not an option. And but I remain safe within that space, or relatively safe within that space. So I thought about the things that like that I was fearful about, like not being able to swim, or when my feet cannot touch the ground in water, I have this panic, and I don't like when things control me. And so in our discussion, and I've been watching you on the hill on Mountain Spring, and I was saying, oh, I look like Samuel gone on a different mission. I mean, your whole persona has changed and everything. But what I realized in speaking to you was your inner peace. And that is something that I've always been striving for, inner peace, but on a deeper level, health, overall health, and mental health, and spiritual health. Because I'm someone who's always in search of what we consider the best way to live. I don't want to say right way to live, because who is right and who is wrong, I really don't know. But I'm in a search or a journey, which I think you have pretty much achieved what you set out to do, which is to finding your happy place, which I would like to introduce, or to even attempt for our viewers to seek that happy place, because many are living lives of they're not fulfilled at all. They're not experiencing joy. They are living a life of a passive life. I know I don't do passive. Nothing that I do passively. So I wanted like a guide as to how can one start or be brave enough, because I know it's brave, because you have to reduce, or chances are more often than not, you have to pull yourself away from society, at least for a while, until you get to that space. And it might mean earning less. It might mean a change of job. It might mean separation from friends. It might mean I don't think you can get away from your immediate family, but you may have to do some kind of extraction in terms of when you're on that spiritual journey. Just tell us a little bit about how you kind of navigated that.
Right. So how I navigated it, as opposed to what it looks like, the happy space. I mean, I think because our time is limited, I think we can start by talking about what this happy space really is, so that persons can realize that they have it as well, you know? Um, so the happy space is this. It's a space where we know that every single problem that we have is based on a story that we are telling ourselves and we're telling others about something that happened in our past, or something that we think is going to happen in our future. And the truth of the matter is that the past does not exist and the future does not exist. How do we know this? Because the only thing that we can affect is the now. The only place that we have operability functionality is the now. That never changes, right? And then if we realize that our problems are attached to our past and our future, then we realize that if I am to ask any person watching this podcast at this moment, how are you? In true honesty, thinking about all of these beautiful autonomous things working in your body right now, enabling you to sit here watching this podcast, listening to it, your answer must be, I am perfect. Now, there may be an initial rejection to the statement, I am perfect, However, I have come to embrace people's rejection because the first stage of truth is denial. So embrace the fact that you might have rejected it if you did, and let's go a step further to realize that it is the honesty of this moment alone and no other that brings the perfection. And if it is that we want to dwell in the peace of this moment, then we simply carry it to the next and the next. And if something is to break the pattern, the peaceful pattern, then we accept it as something that has entered the space and we continue forward. Um, Separately, there is a
Samuel,
science.
Philippine. When I speak, can you just mute? So that we don't have an echo.
Sure.
All right. So it's easy for you to say that I am perfect. But when somebody is facing crime, somebody for them just got shot, somebody for them just died of COVID, somebody for them, they're going through some struggle, right? How is it possible that that moment can be perfect? There's nothing about that moment that I'm going to see as perfect.
Okay, so that's a beautiful opportunity for me to talk about epigenetics. So epigenetics, also described as the biology of belief, speaks to the placebo effect, which many of us know as like the sugar pill when the doctor gives you something that isn't necessarily medicinally valuable, but he knows that the problem is in your mind and in your psyche, and that when you take this thing, you're gonna believe it will heal you, and it will. Now, based on my research, I believe that the placebo effect accounts for over 1/3 of all medical treatment. Now, are you hearing me clearly, Sandra? You hearing me clearly? Yes? Okay. So the placebo effect, as I was saying, accounts for 1/3 of all medical treatment. And so there is the inverse and opposite reaction, which is called the nocebo effect, as described by epigenetics. And the nocebo effect is it operates in the way where if it is that you believe something as able to harm you, then it definitely will. And without that knowledge, you see, we're living our lives poisoning ourselves. Because yes, we know about the power of positive thinking, etc. But we have it in a theoretical sense as being this beautiful possible thing that people could possibly strive to be completely positive. And then many people are saying, that's completely impossible. Why even think about it or talk about it? But you see, the thing is this. Our thoughts change our chemistry. So for example, if it is that I always use this example of running away from a lion in the jungle in our original state. If that would happen, the blood in your viscera, which is the blood that rushes to your organs, would rush to your hands and your feet, and your circulation would shut down, your gut would shut down, and your immune system would shut down. And this is to actually prepare you for fight or flight. Now, if it is that you either kill that lion or you get away, your body would be able to resume its natural chemicals because, of course, adrenaline, cortisol, all the fear hormones would be pumped into your blood as well. So your body regulates, and that's fine. By the way, let us right now honor and respect fear for what it is, because every single emotion, every single aspect of our being is divine by design, and so we must understand that every emotion has its appropriate use. Every force of nature has its appropriate use. And so fear is a beautiful force. And this force is designed to help us to protect ourselves in a survival situation. And so coming back to the lion now. So yes, it helped us to get away from that lion. But when it is that we in our lives have a habit of fear, even if it is that the bills are piling up, even if it is that there are real issues, even if it is that somebody has died, even if it is that somebody got raped, even if it is that the worst thing that you can imagine possible has happened, what's standing between that event and your liberation? That event and your freedom is your perspective, and whether or not it is a placebo perspective or a nocebo perspective, whether or not you will be poisoned by that rapist who should never have had the opportunity to touch you, right? Whether or not you will be poisoned by that, whatever it is, even if it is food, it's very elemental. The things that we think are bad, I mean, really come through our perspective. Let's say there's a piece of meat. A Rasta man might think, oh, I'm not to eat meat because meat is not good for me. But if that piece of meat is in front of the Rasta man and the Rasta man is speaking poorly of the meat while consuming it, then he is actually predisposing himself, and also speaking about the ill health it will cause him. He predisposes himself to ill health from eating that piece of meat. you know so there's a doctor by the name of Dr. Bruce Lipton who advocates for and speaks about pyralagin, and he says people look at him and say, hey, you don't look so perfect. You're speaking about this thing as if it's the key to all man's problems. So why your belly looks kind of big and stuff? Why do you look so imperfect? And he says, hey, I can actually consume strychnine, which is a fatal poison, and not die. However, belief is not strong enough, and so I will not attempt it. You know, so I say this to say that we do have a tremendous power to heal ourselves and a tremendous power to harm ourselves. And in this time, yes, we need to be sanitizing. Yes, we need to be social distancing. Yes, we need to be observing the international protocol. But at the same time, we must do so without fear, because the spirit of fear is that which poisons, sickens, and kills.
So, do you think we have many people? I know many have not, but I know that many people have just bought in to mute your mic, please. Health. Many people have bought into health and wellness, but also many people are comfortable. Many people are comfortable in just the information given about sickness, medication. Everybody, a lot of people don't think that unless you take the medication, you can be well. I believe strongly and have realized that a lot of the sickness starts in our mind. It's about the spiel that we tell ourselves a lot of time. I've seen persons change the way they think and gradually come out of a state of not necessarily depression, because depression, as we know it, takes all forms based on, I suppose, your situation. So I am trying to understand how or try to get out to our viewers. How does one change the way we operate when you have been fed a steady diet that this is what you need in order to survive this, without seeking the knowledge of healing self or the ability to heal self?
Okay. So healing self, very expansive topic, which I'll speak to in a very brief way. You see, even the words that we use are limiters, and communication, as we know it, is 100% communication is impossible. So we start with that as a premise and a premise to, I would say, and just explain what I mean by that. Words have three layers of meaning. You have the direct meaning, you have the annotation, then you have the personal annotation. For example, if I say, and someone in your past used to tell you to relax or to be quiet, and you say, don't tell me to be quiet or don't tell me to relax, but I was really saying the most relaxing thing I could have, or I could have thought of. And so this is how words work, and therefore related to the word self. If it is that you look at the word self in the environment, the definition is not actually to you and yourself. Word love. If you didn't, the difference will not love with is. You're not hearing? Are you hearing now? Hello? Hello? You hearing me, Sandra? Are you
Yes.
hearing?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So continuing then, I'm not sure where it cut off.
You were gurgling. You were gurgling before.
You were gurgling before.
Where did it cut off? Do you remember the point I was making?
From it started, it
All right,
started
let me
gurgling.
continue.
From it started gurgling.
Okay, okay. All right. So let me start again. So self-love. I was speaking about how it is that based on where it is that you are in life, based on your resonance, based on your level of vibration, based on your perspective, your ability to the size of your worldview per se, then your definition of self will constantly change. And so if it is that we speak about self-love, we may go on Instagram and type in the hashtag, and we might see people relaxing in a bathtub. We might see people, are we still on? We might see people, getting a bubble bath or a massage. And yes, these are forms of self-love. However, as we grow, Sandra, are you hearing me? What's going on here? You hearing me, Sandra?
You broke a while ago. Completely. I'm gonna see if I
Apparently,
can.
I'm not.
I'm gonna see if it's my
Okay.
Wi-Fi.
All right, let's try one more
I'm gonna see
time.
if I can connect directly. Give me 1 second.
Okay. I think it's there now. It looks good in a Sandra. It's not chipping up. It looks fine to me now. It's not freezing.
Okay, so I just plugged it in.
Okay. So go ahead.
Yes, go ahead now.
All right. So we were talking about self, and we were talking about how based on your worldview, your resonance,
Sorry, my
your
friends. We had a difficulty tonight.
Pardon? Say again.
No, as telling our viewers, we apologize for the breaking transmission and the poor Wi-Fi. I don't know what is happening tonight, but I just connected directly, so I'm hoping maybe it was my side. Okay, so Paul says he can hear now.
Okay. If it's my side, I apologize as well.
Yes.
So we were speaking about self and about how the definition of self changes as we grow because they have a saying, you never go to the same river twice, and that's because the river always changes, whether it be course or because of the rainfall, or the river always changes, and you always change. So knowing that we are constantly changing, that therefore means that our understanding of self is constantly growing. And so if we say self-love, some people might take a picture in a bathtub, a nice bubble bath, a massage, and these things are forms of self-love and great forms of self-love. However, as we evolve, um, we come to see and understand that there are other levels to self. And how it is that we come to this understanding is through self-observation. We tend to think that we need to go outside of ourselves to find the answers to the deepest questions in the universe and for the shallowest ones as well. But in a sense, you have always been here. The water, for example, that you drank today has always been on this planet. It's never left. Jesus drank the same water you're drinking, Hitler, whomever it was in history. And so we're 70% water. Our bodies are 70% water. And everything else that's on Earth is a part of this natural Earth cycle. And so I'm not using that as the explanation for divine consciousness. I'm not using that as the explanation for the intelligence that exists within us, because clearly I can't explain it away with my capacity to observe. That's the sole capacity I have. But clearly the divinity of our design is present. And if we continue to be present and aware of ourselves, then we start to begin to see a number of things. We start to see that we have limiting beliefs. And then while looking at our limiting beliefs, we realize that we have beliefs about our beliefs, and those beliefs we can call meta beliefs. And these beliefs determine what it is that we believe. So even though we're trying to tackle changing a limiting belief, like, I think it's hard for me to make money, for argument's sake. We're tackling that limiting belief. It's not changing because we also have a belief above that that says, I think money is bad, or I think the root of money is, or money is evil, or I think, whatever it is that's above that would be the meta belief. And so that applies with fear, that applies with everything in our lives. We also become aware that we deceive ourselves constantly. Self-deception is something that is employed far too often. It's not necessarily good or bad, but far too often for bad in our lives. We deceive ourselves constantly. And let's take this adult topic, for example, because I'm sure many adults are listening to you. Let's look at, for example, pornography and masturbation. If it is that someone wants to fully enjoy that experience, if all honesty was present in that moment, it would actually be impossible for them to execute that act, because what they're looking at is pixels of light on a screen. And in order to translate that into the execution of the act, their imagination has to be employed. And the employment of the imagination is self-deception. It's mind-blowing as we sit and start to observe ourselves and see really the layers of programming that has been placed into us through the people we grew up with, through the traumatic experiences we might have had, through the joyous experiences we might have had. But as we go further and as we go deeper, we come to realize that the connectedness between us all is very, very, it's very central. It's beyond personality and characteristic. And it's not to say that we are speaking about the physical, because then we would probably be playing with the concept of gender. But it's deeper than the gender agenda. You see, I mean, in the middle of everything that has life, there is something common. If you see a cat walk by, you can just write it off by saying, oh, yeah, I just saw a cat walk by. But if you didn't say cat, and if you were between 0 and 7 years old, and you saw a cat or a dog, an animal coming toward you, that mommy, cat, that, oh, daddy, dog, that marvel that you had there, if we bring it into this adult moment and look at that cat again, and imagine that cat with your adult mind, with the words that you now have, to think of it as a biological machine, and just this amazing creature that, like, what is it? Like, why is it so symmetric? Why does it, what? I mean, we don't throw the words out the window and see it as a completely unique and fresh experience. And what you will be looking at is life. What you'll be looking at is an essence that exists within us all. You know, it's interesting. In the Bible, they talk about the Garden of Eden, they talk about mankind and the fall, they talk about man before the fall. And they say that the fall involved man gaining the knowledge of good and evil. And I think to myself, what would man have been like prior to the knowledge of good and evil? And I look around and I the only examples I see are everything that's not mankind. All the animals living in harmony and unison with nature. Never ever breaking that primordial order. I don't see any shark in the sea deciding, hey, we're going to start a tuna business and we're going to sell it over there to the whales, or there is no imbalance. Everything in nature takes what it requires. No herd of lions goes and slaughters all the buffalo one day, every single one in the herd. And so there's constantly a delicate balance, except with mankind, the deadliest animal on earth, but yet still the animal with the potential to do the most healing work on this planet. And so where there is dread and where there is fear and where there is disaster and where there is trauma and where there is direct violence, there is healing. Pain in and of itself is healing. And there are a number of different ways that this manifests. But they always say discomfort is your best friend. It's your best friend if you have the placebo effect. It's your worst friend if you have the nocebo effect. And that's kind of cornerstone to how it is that we have to see everything.
So our viewers might be thinking, mute please. Yeah. Our viewers might be thinking, so where are we going with this this thought process? And we're here to talk about health and wellness. But as I said before, health and wellness, I'd like to say it resides mainly in the mind. I find a lot of things that we limit ourselves with, tell ourselves that we can't do. I had a beautiful exercise the other day where we had our staff trip to Dunn's River Falls, and a few of the girls were saying that they can't do the zip line, or they can't walk up the falls because of fear. They're afraid of heights. They're afraid of they don't want to climb the water because it looks so imposing. And I insisted. I said, and some of us, we went also in Greenwater Cave. Some persons were saying that they don't want to go in the cave because, they're afraid of small spaces. I insisted. I said, today we are moving as a group. No one is going to be left behind, and we are going to do this together. And we did it as a team, and everybody went through. I mean, this person is saying, oh, I did it, but I'm not going to do it again because it was so frightening. The bottom line is something that they said they would never have done before. That day, they did it, they got through it, and in my estimation, they don't need to do it again. And so I am saying all of that to say, we limit ourselves, just like what you were saying before, sometimes based on lack of knowledge, something that was said to us by somebody else, the story that we were told about this particular thing that we have not even attempted to try, because it's not based on real knowledge. right?
Can I say
So
something?
it's amazing for me to see these girls, these young ladies, just come into themselves and blossom and bloom. And I'm almost certain, without a shadow of a doubt, that they will be open to trying other things, because I found that once they conquered that initial fear of either going into the cave, they were kind of a little bit more open to doing the zip lining, maybe not fully, but their, their, their mind became a lot more open to trying something. And although the fear was there, because they knew they had the comfort of, um, well, whether it's me saying we're going to do this together or just knowing that we were there to support, they were able to do it. And so I want for us to really get the mind body connection. And for me, let me just talk a little bit about my experience with swimming with you, learning to swim in 7 days, and also my Zen jogging. I'm normally someone that exercises on a regular basis. I normally go up to Mountain Spring, or I go Beverly Hills. I just recently went to Skyline Drive, and I didn't go before. Now, normally I'm a talk and a start stop kind of girl. Zen jogging opened my mind and my body through breathing to get up that hill without stopping, based on your coaching, but also with a new mental approach. That's a significant difference, because it's the same body. The body hasn't changed. The only thing that made a shift was my mind. And although it's a slow jog, I was able to get to the top of the hill without stopping my several stops, and a lot of time then get up the next day, I'm exhausted or I'm in terrible pain. The only thing that shifted, as far as I know, because I don't think I'm in any more peak condition than I was a couple of months ago, was my mind. With the swimming, what I discovered was I had fears that I didn't know I had. So in order to put my head underneath the water, I didn't know that I had a fear of the water getting in my ear. And so putting in earplugs alleviated that fear or that tension, and just learning the process, the knowledge of the learning of the process of swimming. When you said to me, once you have air in your body, you can't sink. You're going to become a floating device. I learned how to breathe. And the whole process to me was the most that happened was a mind shift. And so I am thinking that many of us can do a lot more based on a shifting of the mindset. And that's what I would really like to get out today. That whole health and
Definitely.
wellness, mind connection, and of course the spiritual aspect of it. Because as you come into self and you lose that fear, then you are doing more, you are being more, you're experiencing life on a higher level. You know, I'm happier, I am more fulfilled, my belly going down, I'm losing weight. So and so I am now a little bit more closer to my goal than I was before. But the only thing that changed was my mind.
Well, well, you hearing me? Powerful, powerful. Thank you for your encouraging remarks. But I would say not only has your mind changed, but your breath has changed as well. And especially through Zen jogging, we come to understand limitlessness in ourselves. And that really encourages us. You know, that the fact that the first time in Zen jogging that we tried to jog from the foot mountain swing to the top, we were successful. Not after having trained a number of times, but the very first time, not by changing our level of fitness, but by accessing the power of our breath. Um, and that being central to our lives. You even told me about being in the dentist chair and having an experience using your breath separately from Zen jogging. You want to tell us about that one?
Yes. So
Yes. So
normally when I go to the dentist,
normally when I go to the
um,
dentist,
mute.
mute.
Normally when I go to the dentist, I have a problem. Well, prior to that, well, that I have what is called sleep apnea, and that posed some kind of complications as well. Um, Before. I know sleep with a machine, but I'm now balancing that with learning to breathe, and hopefully at some point maybe I'll be able to come off the machine because that's my ultimate goal. I don't want to be tied to a machine for the rest of my life. But normally when I go to the dentist, and my head is back, I have to say just a minute and ask them for me to breathe, for her to continue back her work, and then I go back again and breathe, and then she has to continue back her work. From I've been practicing the whole breathing exercising, I realized that I've been able to manage my breathing lower. It, I don't know how to explain it than now I am able to sit through a total dental ordeal or the dental process without having to stop them once, which for me is success on my part, because that is a challenge because you have to keep on stopping the dentist in order just to breathe. And so the whole breathing process is very important. And I don't think many of us even think about breathing
Even
or the
think about
importance of proper breathing.
breathing.
Right. Right. Until I want you, and before we get into this type of heat, the medicine, the alternative medicine, Chinese
You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
income.
Start again.
And
You're breaking up. Start again.
sorry, hearing no problem. Hearing better? Yes. So I was saying that no matter what healing modality that we embrace or we want to embrace, whether or not it is traditional medicine, whether or not it is alternative medicine, Chinese medicine, natural herbs, whatever it is, even psychiatry, psychotherapy, all of these different methods of healing with a cleansing of the mind, a renewal of the mind, a deprogramming of the mind, a reprogramming of the mind. And I must say that we tend to bash ourselves to think, oh, I'm full of so much mess. Like, I'm such a terrible person for having all of this mess inside of me. I could never be worthy of loving. But we exist between the ages of 0 to 7 in a state that is called theta. And that theta state is likened to, it is actually the same state that is required for hypnotism when hypnotists actually do that kind of work, past life regression, etc. And so it so happens that a child's mind is technically in the from a survival. You don't teach a child by right rules, like you simply absorb and respond for our trauma. So come
Breaking
with us,
up.
but our to absorb beauty and our ability to absorb both the beauty and the negative in our surrounding is actually what predisposes us to these traumas. And so this is not something to blight ourselves about. This is an absolute aspect of our gift. I want to reaffirm to everyone that you're divine by design. And I mean, yeah, you can't do nothing, my brother. You can't do nothing, my sister. You cannot do nothing on this earth that is more amazing than you sitting here doing nothing. Your brain working, your eyes working, your nose working, your mouth, your ears. And I haven't gone inside. I haven't gone to the cochlea and the inner ear and all the things in the ear. And I'm talking about the iris and the this and that. What is your eyebrow for? Have you even checked? What's your mustache for? What's your beard for? What's your hair for? You know, there's a story where they say the US Army was trying to hire trackers, Indians to be trackers, and they got them to come on board and they said, okay, we're going to give you the crew cut now. We're going to cut your hair. And the trackers said, hey, we've never met an Indian tracker who had no hair. Not a good one anyway. So, I mean, I'm not going to tell you that your hair is an antenna. I am not the authority on that. Hopefully, you can find some American Indian man who can confirm it. But, I mean, really, are we even taking a look at ourselves? I mean, you know, really reorienting ourselves about how much we don't even know about what's under our nose. Um, and so, yes, we go into all healing modalities with a positive perspective, with that placebo perspective, and I'll share a little bit more, just briefly, about the holistic approach that we take in terms of Treadwater JA and Zen Jogger JA. We also, I personally am a practitioner of Lajin, which is a Chinese healing lifestyle. It's not something you give to someone else or do to someone else. It's actually something that you do for
I didn't
yourself.
hear you. That's
And
the word.
pardon?
No, we didn't. You're a
Pardon me?
practitioner of what? You
Of
are a
Paida
practitioner
Lajin.
of.
Paida Lajin. Now, Paida Lajin is an ancient self-healing life. It is not a message some give to someone else for someone else that we for us. And it in and of itself is not healing. All it simply does is clear blockage in the meridian flow through two techniques, slapping and stretching. And that clearance of blockage enables the body to continue with its natural process of self-healing, which all healing is actually self-healing. So even if the mainstream doctor gives you a medication, unless he's simply treating, the medicine is actually contributing to the body's process of self-healing. And even if it is that he's treating, it should be contributing to the body's already existing process of self-healing. So Pydalagen is something that, for those who are open, I share with freely. As well, Zen jogging is something that I share as well. And as I say, Zen jogging is just the physical manifestation of your limitlessness.
What is
Gives you the
Zen?
ability to. Okay, so Zen jogging is jogging meditation, and it is pairing your breath with your breath activity so much so you are around the eye of only what in nature, and energy, the physical manifestation as
Breaking
verse
up. Not hearing a word you're saying.
she wasn't that oh, and I laughed. Because
Zen jogging.
my is my everyone
It's breaking up.
okay. So I'm shifting. Are you here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So Zen jogging, you can find out first of all more about it at Zen Jogger JA on Instagram. But Zen jogging is jogging meditation where we pair breath with vigorous activity so that we enter a space that's described as the eye of the storm. What's actually happening with Zen jogging is that we get to see the physical manifestation of our limitlessness because we get to work with our breath with the amount of activity that it can fuel. And as we remain in that zone and in that sync will continue to expand as we continue to remain there and never to compete with ourselves, but to remain in the correct pace and with the right focus. And over time, that capacity will expand and expand until we will move from Zen jogging to Zen running, which is being able to run while still being in a meditative state. And this is very good for us in our daily lives where we have so much tension and trauma experience around. We need ability to switch from relaxation to focus at on command. So it is truly powerful, and for every person who does it, I must say that the experience is different and personal. Even though there are those main um, traits that it does have. Also, it does not create muscle soreness. You receive muscle awareness, but none of the typical fatigue that persons usually experience with exercise. So it's a form of sustainable exercise, actually, and it's just simply beautiful. There's quite a bit more about it, but you can check it out at Zenjaga JA for more. So we have as well Treadwater JA, which is such a beautiful tool for liberation. There's so many of us who have never learned to swim, and many had traumatic experiences. Even recently, I was sitting by the river doing a video for Treadwater JA, and as I was speaking, a family came and a man came with his son and was threatening the son, saying, "You're gonna drown! You're gonna drown!" And right behind me, he chucked that child down deep under the waterfall. The mother had to rescue the child. The child was screaming. We're constantly creating trauma around us, some of us, and so uh, Treadwater J is designed for the adult version of that child who fell into the water, who decides he's never going to go to a learn to swim class again or ever. And we do what we call aquaphobia therapy. We increase your knowledge of the water rather your confidence in the water through a knowledge of it and through a knowledge of your own buoyancy. We teach you how to float, which is a vital activity in a survival situation. You can't tread for extended periods of time. And so the intermediate activity would be floating. So we teach you to float in a way that you can do for an entire day, for days. We also teach you two strokes as well. And that all happens during 7 weeks where we take you from the pool to nature. So we begin in a pool, and during the entire interaction, we go to the river and we go to the sea as well. Now, I know it sounds like a grand affair with a lot of activity going on. However, every single interaction is a one-on-one. So we're completely COVID compliant. And that applies for Treadwater JA, except in the case where we offer couple packages for Treadwater JA. So couples and close friends can take our package where they experience a new perspective of the water together. And also with Zen Jogger JA, every single Zen jog is a one-on-one. In terms of, let me explain a little bit about it. You first have to be trained to understand how it is that you Zen jog or initiated into it. And then after that, you can Zen jog on your own, anywhere you'd like to, or the person who have it like to connect on a Sunday, while socially distancing, of course, out in nature to go for a very clean air run, and through forest land and so on, as well as we'll be doing in the future. And so it is really a powerful experience. Pardon me?
Is there anyone in terms of health issues that don't qualify for like stone jogging or learning to swim?
Well, I would definitely place that recommendation in the hands of the medical doctors. So I would ask that you check in with your doctor to find out whether or not you're in a state to learn to swim, because the truth of the matter is that swimming is actually the, if not the most healthy, one of the healthiest activities on this planet. It exercises every muscle at the same time, gives you cardiovascular work at the same time. It relieves anxiety and depression. There, you cannot feel bad after a swim. There are many layers of positivity to swimming. I cannot even list them all here right now. And likewise with Zen jogging, I'll say this. The oldest person that I've taught to Zen jog so far is 58. I have a request from an 86-year-old woman who is 86, yes, but in not too bad shape because she used to do karate, but she isn't in shape at all. And she's interested and she's up on her feet. And I believe it will be no challenge at all. Soon we will see the results of that one. She will be the oldest person that I would have initiated. But of course, as long as your health professional recommends that you can do light jogging or walking, definitely I recommend it. The thing about it is that you never get tired with Zen jogging. So when we do our initiation, we do it on a steep, we try to find a hill that you may be familiar with, one that you think that you're not in the current fitness to jog. And through that process of carrying you to the top of that hill with your own breath, you can then understand your limitlessness and then continue to jog long surfaces on the flat, or continue to face other mountains and hills and so on. But I mean, it seems ridiculous to many people. They would never believe me if I said to them, hey, yeah, I know that you think you're out of shape. I know you think that you're going to get winded because you've never been able to do this, but I'm guaranteeing you that tomorrow morning, if we meet at the foot of a mountain, I can take you to the top, but you're going to be taking yourself to the top. And when you get to the top, you're going to feel energized. You're going to want more mountain. You are going to feel so relaxed and at peace. You're going to wonder if is coffee a drink or if there was a new drug that got invented that you just discovered called the power of your breath.
I know. I noticed that my viewers. I don't know if it's because we're giving them enough information, but I noticed that my viewers are not asking any questions tonight. Is it that you don't know what questions to ask, or are we um, providing all the information needed, or are you already doing your own exercise program? Let us know, if this is something that you'd be interested in, or something. Are you doing something currently to maintain your current healthy lifestyle and or a healthy mind and body? Because, as I said before, it's imperative that we do something at this time when everybody's in house. We need to get out. Sometimes we need to do some form of exercise to get our spirits up. We can't allow COVID or any kind of vid to keep us locked in and locked away and locked in and our brains shut down. We have to do something to keep up and get through this pandemic together. Yes, Samuel, you were going to say?
Definitely, and Zen jogging is
Yes, Samuel, you were going to say?
I
How
think
can we
definitely I agree with you. And
how can they find you? Unmute.
it takes a while.
Yes.
Oops. Okay. So I can be contacted by calling 876-909-3067. At on Instagram at TreadwaterJA, on Instagram as well at ZenJoggerJA, on Instagram as well at Kindred Self Healer. That's KINDRED Self Healer, one word. And also TreadwaterJA at gmail.com as well if you'd like to send an email. Yeah. pretty much. But I'll say this, even if it is that you're involved in a current exercise
Some
program.
people are shy. They don't like to ask online, but invariably they like to ask after the program.
Say again?
No, I said some people don't like to ask publicly.
Right. No problem.
So that's why the information is necessary.
No
And
problem.
it's
I'd
also
also like to
online
say,
as well.
right. I'd, al- I, right. I'd also like to say that even if it is that you're already in a current workout program and exercise program, Zen jogging is not something that's going to pull you away from that program. It will simply enhance it. And so you can simply have a one-time experience with us and return to your own practice. If it is that you'd like to join us for once a week jogs, as long as it's not exceeding the government's COVID compliance as it relates to the size of groups, then you're more than welcome to join us as we enjoy nature together, respectfully of social distance.
All right. So Anne Marie says, "Good evening from Florida. Boss lady is the person who introduced men to Zen jogging. Never heard of this before. Today I tried on the flat walking path, jog behind my grandson's stroller, breathing in and out my nose. But my calf and thighs became stiff, so I know I may not be breathing properly. So I break and walk and start again. So what can you share for JH apart?"
Lovely question. Lovely question. Lovely question. So actually, we also do remote Zen jog initiations. So you can have your remote Zen jog initiation done via Zoom or via any other video conferencing platform. If you reach out to us, we can tell you more about how it is that you can actually learn.
So Anne Marie, So Anne Marie, you can contact him through Insta. I know you're on Insta. No, you're on Facebook. I'm not sure if you're on Insta. I'll send you
You
his
can send me a
contact.
Yeah, man.
Send your contact.
No problem.
Okay, well, I hope I'm so sorry for the constant breaking today. Mute.
Sorry too.
I don't know for what reason, because normally my internet is very stable. So I don't know what has happened tonight. Mute, please, Samuel.
Thank you so much for having me, Sandra. I just want to thank everyone who came online to watch this. Anyone who will be seeing it in the future, for being here. I want to acknowledge you all, and I want to remind you all once again that there is absolutely nothing that you can do in this life, achieve in this life, accomplish in this life that is more marvelous, more magical, more majestic, more indescribable, more mysterious, more interesting, than just you existing. It's not much more than that. That's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. There's nothing that is more amazing than creation, and that's just amazing, man. All the answers are
Lovely.
there.
Thank you, Samuel. Can you mute your mic, please? Thank you.
Sure.
I want to thank Samuel Gordons, aka Kindred. I want to thank him for joining me today. I know sometimes we say we don't have any time for ourselves in terms of exercise, especially when you have kids. Well, now many persons are working from home. You need to leave out a little early, or in the evenings find some time. If it's even half an hour, you need to find some time for exercise, and especially for mental wellness, just to get out the house for a couple of minutes, just to kind of bring yourself down, breathe, learn to breathe. I would say contact Samuel and, you know, learn about Zen jogging. And who wants to learn to swim? I mean, a lot of people, I've been speaking to a lot of people on my page, and a lot of persons have said that they cannot swim. And I do not believe in things. Well, first of all, fear stopping me from doing anything that I want to do. Anything that is I find crippling, I want to get rid of it, and I'm getting rid of it this year. No further than this year. So I just want to thank you for joining me once again. This program is about becoming our best selves. So whether you participate or you just listen, or you go back and you listen to it, and you know, procrastination is a thief. Procrastination is a thief. So whatever you have put off for the last how many years, just start. Start with the first step. Get up, move. Don't buy into all, I am diabetic. I have sugar. I am hypertensive. I have high cholesterol. Be careful of the labels that we put on ourselves. I say the same things because I'm on medication, but whilst I'm on medication for cholesterol and hypertension, I'm not owning it. I am trying to get to a place where the doctor will one day tell me I don't need medication anymore. That is my aim in life. So I'm not going to play the victim. I'm going to go out there and do what I have to do, and I'm going to try my best. And if my best is not good enough, I try again. So I just want to say thanks for joining me. Please, 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 let's do us. Do you. Do you. I know it's hard sometimes. Plenty people say, I put my husband first, or I put my children first, or I put my wife first. One, as I like to say, everybody who knows me know I like to say, one cannot pour from an empty cup. Just like how they tell you on the plane. You have to pull your mask first, don your mask first, before you can help either your children or your loved ones. It's the same principle. Please take this opportunity, this downtime, this reset time to do something about your health and wellness, mind, body, and soul. Thanks again for joining Boss Lady Live. We'll be here next week. And next week, we we will be tackling. I like to say tackle. You might say listening or finding out about. But next week we'll be speaking to Dr. Wendell Abel, because I'm focusing a lot on the brain. I don't know if you noticed most of my talks. I like to focus a lot on the brain because we don't realize how powerful our brains are. So next week we'll be speaking to Dr. Wendell Abel as to why it is that so many people are attracted to negativity. Why is that? Why are we so attracted to it? If I post something positive, I'm lucky if it gets 2 likes. If I post something negative or something salacious or something sexual or some kind of fight of some kind, it goes viral. Why is that? We need to ask ourselves, are we living in a state of unhealthy thinking, or what we feed ourselves on a daily basis? Is it healthy for us? What should we do 24/7? Is it healthy for us? So
Can I make a contribution to that point?
Yes, Samuel, you're saying?
Okay. Yeah, man, just briefly before you go, I just want to make a contribution to that point in terms of the negativity and so on, and the fact that it sells. I want to briefly tell a story that I told you about working in the media and my supervisor saying to me, Samuel, what do you prefer? Man eats dog or dog eats man? And I said I would just prefer to report on whatever happened. And he went on even further to say, okay, if you're on your way to an assignment and you happen to see the prime minister in a vehicle about to go up in flames, um, what do you do? Do you get the story or do you rescue the prime minister? And I thought about it for a split second and said, I think it would be a bigger story if I rescued the prime minister and then reported on what happened. And I was laughed at and scoffed at, and that was completely bad journalism. So I say that to say that your viewership is what they're after, not your edification, not your growth and development, because your viewership determines their advertising dollar and the strength of their advertising dollar. And so the agenda is what grabs the eye. And then it would be interesting, yes, to confirm with Dr. A why it is that these things are grabbing our eye, whether it is
Yeah.
that the traumas of
Yeah.
our young age are attuned to that kind of vibration and therefore will want to look at it. Um, yeah, what really draws us to it? That'd be very interesting.
Yes. So join us next week
Yes.
at 8 o'clock
At 8
on
o'clock
Boss Lady Live,
on
where we
Wednesday
bring
night,
the information,
where we
not necessarily what
information,
you
not necessarily
want, but the
want,
information that you need.
but the information
So
that
walk good. See
the
you next
work
week. Same time,
next
same
week,
place.
anytime,
8 p.m.
same
sharp.
place,
Boss Lady Live.
www.youtube.com
www.youtube.com/the totally mail. Subscribe, no man, so that you can be notified when we have things coming up. Please join us on Facebook or on YouTube. See you next week. Good night.